On the world of Yaya Prime, a small-framed young hunter named Dek is undergoing a rigorous training mission. He moves across the landscape using different gadgets and gear until he reaches a cavern. His scanner alerts him that his brother is close. Without hesitation, Dek swings his blade behind him, and Quay intercepts it at the last second. The two brothers launch into a fast-moving duel, and as they shift through the cave, Quay keeps provoking Dek, urging him to pay attention to the advantage the terrain gives him. Their weapons keep striking as they weave around the stone formations, and after a long exchange, Quay forces Dek toward the edge, but chooses not to finish him. When Dek refuses to give up, Quay slices through the stone pillar beneath him, sending Dek plummeting. Dek manages to hold on to the rough wall and climbs back up, launching himself at Quay again. Later aboard their ship, Quay tells Dek it's time to choose a target to earn his place in the Aya clan. Dek says he wants to travel to Jenna, known by many as the Death Planet, to pursue the unstoppable beast called Kalisk. Even their father fears it, which is exactly why Dek wants that challenge. He's tired of being treated like he isn't strong enough. Quay disagrees with the idea, but Dek declares his mission anyway. Right then, their father Najar returns. Dek greets him with a traditional gesture involving a drop of his own blood. Najar immediately questions why Dek is still alive, revealing he had ordered Quay to eliminate him because he believed Dek was too weak to belong to the clan. Quay insists that Dek deserves an opportunity to prove himself. A furious Najar throws a device that restrains Dek and orders Quay to finish the job immediately, but instead, Quay disables the device and activates the ship's systems to launch Dek away. Quay raises a shield around him as Najar opens fire. After sealing the ship to prevent Dek from returning, Quay confronts Najar directly. In only a few movements, Quay knocks his father's weapon away. Najar activates his cloaking field, but Quay keeps striking to hold him back. Najar injures him and knocks his hand aside before attacking further. Quay reaches toward his fallen equipment, not for a weapon, but for the arm guard he lost. Calling Quay weak, Najar drives him down. With his remaining strength, Quay triggers the launch sequence so Dek will be sent to Jenna. Dek sees his brother fall as the ship blasts him unconscious. Sometime later, Dek awakens to an alarm. Debris orbiting Jenna has damaged the ship, and it's spiraling toward the planet. Dek scrambles to the pilot's seat and ejects, falling rapidly through Jenna's atmosphere. When a large bird nearly collides with him mid-descent, he activates his shield just in time. He crashes through the dense jungle canopy and lands roughly, letting out a frustrated roar. Determined to track down the creature he came for, Dek checks every piece of his gear to make sure nothing failed on impact. A sudden noise startles him, and he cautiously scans the area. Out of nowhere, a vine-like organism lashes out and steals one of his weapons. Dek draws his sword, but another vine wraps around his arm, forcing him to cut it loose while the first one slithers away. More tendrils emerge and reach for him, grabbing his leg and dragging him across the ground. Dek pulls out his bow and fires at the vine hauling him, forcing it to release him, then strikes it back. He darts across the clearing to recover his sword and quickly slices through the incoming vines. But no matter how fast he reacts, more keep appearing, and they begin working together to overwhelm him. Dek avoids several strikes and leaps onto one of the thicker vines, sprinting along it until he reaches the top of a cliff. The vines can't climb that high, giving him a clear view of the eerie world stretching below him. Afterward, Dek rinses a small cut in a stream and uses his scanner to locate a healing plant that can also act as an explosive. On a large leaf, he finds a strange, caterpillar-like creature that forms red globes on its back, and when he tosses it away, it bursts. With that knowledge, Dek continues exploring in search of the Kalisk. He enters a wide, open field filled with red plants that hiss softly whenever he gets too close, so he maneuvers carefully to avoid setting them off. At that moment, he hears a voice speaking an unfamiliar language. Looking up, he sees Thea trapped in a massive nest. When he can't understand her, she switches to a universal translator, revealing she's an android, what some call a synthetic. Suddenly, a Jenna vulture lands nearby and grabs a rock, throwing it at the red plants. The impact makes the pods release a cloud of red gas and launch sharp needles that Dek narrowly evades. Thea explains that the needles cause temporary paralysis, giving the vulture an easy meal. When she offers assistance, Dek refuses, saying hunters from his world work alone.